What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and today I'm going to be doing a single focus video on the state of Georgia. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a big video, my updated projections on the 2020 presidential election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So be on the lookout for that. Please subscribe and turn on the bell notifications if you haven't already. But today, I'm going to be doing a more focused look at the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia, I think, will be a very important state in 2020 on the presidential level and on the Senate level. There's also a few House races. Obviously, in 2018, there was a very contested governor's race that got a lot of media attention, but Georgia is not over. I think Georgia's going to be full of surprises this go around. So let's first of all just look at Georgia on the presidential level. As you can see, it's going to be a swing state. It could be a tipping point state. Obviously, the incumbent, Donald Trump, has a slight advantage here, which isn't surprising. Republicans have won the state consistently, but Joe Biden is projected to have a better chance of winning this state than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. As you can see, Joe Biden has a 36.5% chance of winning this state. So let's dive in and look at these fundamentals. So this is the projected vote count, which I think kind of makes sense between 2 and 3 points. I have this race at Donald Trump winning it by about 3 to 4 points. This one has 2 to 3. Obviously, there's a lot that we don't know yet. Donald Trump won this state by around 5 points in 2016, but obviously, I do think Biden is a better candidate for the state of Georgia. I think he can energize a lot of the African American vote that Hillary Clinton could not do in 2016. So as you can see, over the course of this year, the chances for Biden to do better have gotten closer. I think some polls have come out that indicate that this race might be closer than anticipated earlier. And obviously, with all of the George Floyd protests, there's a lot of protests in Atlanta. There's a lot of anger there. I really don't know how that's going to play, and I'm not really going to do any commentary on that because I'm just a election predictions YouTube channel. But obviously, that could help Biden's chances or hurt them. It's really hard to say, but obviously, we can't make any definite calls about Georgia right now. So the fundamentals of this makes sense, point towards the Republicans, state similarity, and the expert ratings. The expert ratings, I think, are what we should put the most weight into right now. Obviously, the polls are not going to be super accurate. They even have Biden up, in fact. But the expert ratings, I think, are what we should look at because the experts have looked at the history of the state. No Democrat has come within 5 points of it, even President Obama, who was a very popular Democratic nominee. And although the state definitely is shifting towards the Democrats, it's very diverse. It has a large African American population. I think maybe the highest out of all of these southern states. Um, so yeah, and let's just kind of look at a few of these polls. So obviously, this is not a very big sample of the polls, but as you can see, McCain won the state by 5.2 points. Romney did a lot better than McCain, 7.8 points, but Trump actually did worse than Romney, and Obama was a stronger Democratic candidate for sure. So as we can see, I do think that Biden will do better than Hillary Clinton, but it is yet to see how much better, for sure. And if we look at some of the more of the polls right here, as you can see, it's a lot closer than the Real Clear Politics. They did not choose a huge sample of their polls, and I don't know exactly why. But as you can see here, D+1, R+2, D+1. I mean, the polls are kind of all over the place, and we have some polls as far as R+8, but I think we even have some polls earlier done by the University of Georgia. Obviously, this is not a very reliable poll, so we should not put too much weight into that. Um, and I think this website's just pretty interesting. So in 2004 and 2000, George Bush won Georgia by I think 11 points here and almost 17 points in 2004. But I think what these results show is how much it shifted, and it's continuing to shift. In 2018, I'll kind of dive into this more. Brian Kemp only beat Stacey Abrams by about 1.5 points, and Stacey Abrams still claims that she is the true governor of Georgia because there was so much voter fraud and stuff and such. But I don't know if we can really buy into that. Yeah, so these are more of the polls, and this includes some of the Senate polls too. Obviously, there is a poll where Biden is up. I don't think we should put too much emphasis on this poll now. Obviously, I think we should focus more on the expert opinions, but it is pretty interesting. And obviously, you can see we have Collins. I mean, this is looking at the Senate. Collins, Loeffler, Purdue. I know it's very crazy. It's hard to keep up with, and obviously, the Democrats have not chosen their Democratic candidate for Senate to rally around. But let's just kind of dive into that too. So obviously, I did a video earlier about the Senate races and kind of what I think about all of them. And also, I did a video earlier on kind of just focusing on the state of Arizona, which I think is very interesting. But Georgia is very interesting too. This is very rare to have two Senate elections in the same year. Um, Most of the time, they're staggered. That's so you don't have this. Obviously, the senators are elected every 6 years. So 1 year, every 2 year cycle, there's going to be one where there's no senators up for election, all these states that are like not filled in, and then you'll have two out of the other two out of the three 2 year cycles are going to have senators up for re-election. But this GA1 is a special election, so let's focus on this for a quick second. So this is between Georgia has very interesting rules. It's a jungle primary, so it's not between just two candidates. Anyone can run for election. Typically, in the past, there's been a clear Republican candidate and a clear Democratic candidate. This is not the case in 2020 for this seat. So right now, the incumbent Republican is Kelly Loeffler. This is a picture of her. She was appointed by Brian Kemp in 2019 after the former Republican incumbent had some health problems and wanted to step down. And Brian Kemp appointed Kelly Loeffler against the wishes of Donald Trump in the White House. Brian Kemp and Donald Trump are very good friends. Brian Kemp ran in Donald Trump's path as about as much as you can. He had like in his campaign, his primary videos, he had a truck where he would round up illegal immigrants. I mean, it was crazy, and he was a very controversial figure. A lot of people thought he was just like kind of crazy and too conservative, but he ended up winning by the slimmest of margins against Stacey Abrams in 2018. So as governor, he has the power to appoint whoever he wants. So he made a bet and he said, look, in 2018, there was almost a Democrat governor in Georgia, which is almost unheard of. And he looked at the voting data and he said, the reason why we almost lost this state is because white suburban women actually went for Stacey Abrams at a larger margin than they have in past elections. So he's like, this is a key demographics that the Republicans have held for a while, so he wanted to kind of offer an olive branch to them and say, hey, we want you back. And so his attempt to do this was to appoint Kelly Loeffler, who's kind of the epitome of like a white suburban woman. Obviously she's very wealthy, but they wanted to appeal with kind of the upper middle class, suburban mom type demographic, and because just to kind of encourage the descriptive representation. But what happened is the Trump White House was very angry. They were very angry at Brian Kemp, but obviously that they couldn't do anything about it. And since Kelly Loeffler has been a senator, it's been a kind of a disaster. She's been stuck in this insider trading scandal, and the people of Georgia were not very happy with this pick. Brian Kemp kind of forced it upon them. If there was just a true primary to see who would replace the former Republican senator, Kelly Loeffler would not be the choice, I guarantee you. In fact, the Trump White House wanted to appoint Doug Collins because he's very popular in the state of Georgia, but Brian Kemp took a gamble, and it appears that this gamble has not paid off because Doug Collins challenged um, uh, announced his bid to challenge Kelly Loeffler in the 2020 Senate election against the wishes of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the NRSC, and the White House. Trump said, "We don't want you to do this. Obviously, we weren't happy that you weren't chosen, but still, Doug Collins, we want to keep this seat. And if you run for it, we might risk losing the seat." But as it stands now, Doug Collins is ahead in the polls tremendously. I think I can scroll down. We'll hit these polls. Now, obviously, it's a jungle primary, and the Democrats haven't united behind one candidate, Matt Lieberman or Warnock. It's kind of difficult to see who is going to be the top two, but it's definitely going to be a Republican and a Democrat. I'm very, very confident it's going to be Doug Collins, and I don't really know a lot about the Democrats. So Kelly Loeffler is going to be replaced. And I think that is very interesting because the same thing kind of happened in Arizona. As I said, the governor wanted to appoint a woman, a female GOP senator. That might fail. This is definitely going to fail, and I think the Republican Party just needs to find a better way to kind of get females up into national uh, positions of power, because obviously this doesn't work, and the people of Georgia, it appears like in the polls, are not happy that Brian Kemp kind of circumvented what did they want. And right now in the polls, it appears that since Doug Collins is so popular, that after the jungle primary, it would go into a runoff between Doug Collins and the highest Democrat. And I would say that Doug Collins has a slight advantage. As you can see, Real Clear Politics leads the seat as a lean GOP. And I think that is right. And the other Senate election, which isn't as exciting, David Perdue. He's the incumbent Republican. He's very popular. I predict he will even outperform Donald Trump, just because the people of Georgia know David Perdue and they respect him. And he won pretty handily in 2014. I don't even know if they have their margin of victory in 2014. They probably don't. But I mean, there's some polls that have him down, but I would take these with a grain of salt. They think his Democratic opponent's going to be John Ossoff. They don't even know that yet. But as you can see across the board, these are lean R, likely R, lean R. And let's see what it is for this other election. Yeah, so Waynar, and I do think this distinction is correct right now, just because there's a lot of uncertainty in this race. Is Kelly Loeffler going to be the nominee, or is Doug Collins? What I think Kelly Loeffler should do is just drop out and let Doug Collins have the seat, just because she's looking at these abysmal poll numbers. The National Republican Senatorial Committee was willing to fund Kelly Loeffler's campaign and maybe even smear Doug Collins. I think now with these new poll numbers out that just show that Kelly Loeffler is getting destroyed by Doug Collins, that they'll be less willing to do that. And I mean, the goal of the NRSC is to um, help incumbent Republicans, but I just don't see them wanting to waste a lot of money keeping Kelly Loeffler in a seat when they can get a um, Republican and Doug Collins, who is a current U.S. congressman who led the impeachment trial to defend Donald Trump. He's a very loyal Republican, a very known quantity. So I do not see the Republicans doing that. So there you have it. Please tell me if you like this video. Please subscribe here if you have not already. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing an updated version of the 2020 presidential race. So please be on for that, because that's going to be really exciting. Thanks, guys.